Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and the Kojima event has come and gone, and it was about as spectacular, and I'd also say about as weird as you would expect. They teased multiple projects, including the intriguing Xbox-published game, OD. They reintroduced it with a brand new teaser trailer, and it's already causing a lot of double takes online because, quite frankly, it now might be one of the most anticipated games going forward for a very, very good reason. So stick around and we're going to talk all about that, as well as a new PlayStation State of Play that Sony just announced. Yes, the rumors were true after all, and if they continue to be true, then this very well might actually be an important event for them. So make sure to stay tuned for that as well. First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with the PlayStation 5 Pro, because this console is positioned in a very strange way. I mean, this console is north of $800 if you buy it with the disc drive, and its big selling point is PSSR, which is their own in-house AI upscaling method. Now, AI upscaling is extremely important. There's no doubt about that, and I'm sure PSSR will improve as this generation continues on. However, the more that we've seen from the PlayStation 5 Pro, the more it's become clear that they are using it as an extremely expensive beta test for next generation. I mean, to be completely fair, there are some games that truly shines on the PlayStation 5 Pro, like Monster Hunter Wilds and Deliverance 2 as two such examples. But for every game that utilizes it in a good way, there's also the frequent releases that, for whatever reason, actually look or perform worse than what they do on the base PlayStation 5. Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid Delta, and now also Silent Hill F have all run into issues on the PlayStation 5 Pro, in large part because of PSSR's implementation. Yeah, a new Digital Foundry video just revealed that Silent Hill F has a pretty glaring issue on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and in a lot of cases, I feel like Digital Foundry overstates things that most people probably won't notice, but in this case, it is glaringly obvious. Any kind of vegetation in Silent Hill F seems to have this noisy, artifacting fog look to it on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it really does look bad, and a lot worse than it does on the base PlayStation 5. It kind of reminds me of Silent Hill 2 from last year, which also had a shimmering problem because of PSSR, and as a PS5 Pro owner myself, the thing that most bothers me about situations like this isn't that the issue itself exists. I do understand that PSSR is in its infancy stage and it's supposed to get a big update sometime next year, but the fact that we don't have a toggle on and off option, whether that be in-game or through the PlayStation 5 Pro settings itself, quite frankly, I think is inexcusable. I mean, there's absolutely zero reason at all that a console that costs $800 should look worse than options that are significantly cheaper from the exact same company. I mean, clearly, Konami is a problem here because, these are all Konami-published games, but Sony could still offer an option to toggle PSSR off in the PS5 Pro menu, but they don't do that either. I mean, it's really getting ridiculous by this point. This type of stuff just shouldn't happen whatsoever. I mean, hopefully we'll get an update for Silent Hill F eventually, but once again, there is that buyer's remorse for the PS5 Pro because this alarming trend has continued nearly a year into its life cycle. Now, we also got a surprise game reveal for Palfarm. This is a little bit unexpected, but Pocket Pair is making a Palworld spinoff, but this time for a cozy farm simulator. Now, farm sims aren't exactly my thing personally, but Palworld was massive when it first launched last year, to the point that it even had the Pokemon Company a bit scared. So, I'm sure the Pokemon Company probably aren't thrilled by this spinoff either, because this does have some potential, considering the original reached more than 32 million players, which is absolutely insane. I mean, just to kind of put that into perspective, that's more players than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold, which is just above 27 million units. Now, to be fair, Palworld was in Xbox Game Pass, so that's going to play in a part here, but Either which way, Palworld was insanely successful, and there is a reason that the Pokemon Company took umbrage with Palworld, whereas they've never really done that for any of its other clones, which, I mean, there are a lot of Pokemon clones out there. However, Palfarm has yet to receive a release date, but if you are interested, you can already wishlist it on Steam. Oh, and speaking of games that got off to a hot start, we actually got an update for Oblivion Remastered and the often requested physical release. For whatever reason, Xbox and Bethesda decided against a physical launch earlier this year, but there have been a lot of rumors about an eventual physical version. Well, we now got an update from the reliable Bilbo-kun, which just leaked that a physical version will be announced by the end of September. You can see here where he reported that pre-orders to open at the end of September. Among the first pieces of information we've been able to confirm is that the deluxe edition of Oblivion Remastered will indeed be released as a physical disc on PlayStation 5. The game's box would likely contain the disc for the standard edition, along with an upgrade code for the deluxe edition. However, the Xbox version remains unclear. To date, we are unable to confirm the presence of a disc in this physical version. So admittedly, there are still a lot of questions that remains with all this. Previously, PlayAsia listed Oblivion Remastered as a code in a box, but I mean, if that turns out to be true, that would honestly surprise me. And the reason I say that is because it lacks any kind of logic. I mean, if Xbox and Bethesda wants to capture some of the audience that held off earlier this year, then the best way to do that is by offering a true physical release. Otherwise, I mean, why wait all of this time? They could have just launched the code in the box back then when it first launched. So, I mean, I hope that information from PlayAsia is just simply wrong. I mean, we'll see what happens with all this, but one other thing that Bilbo-kun said is that surprisingly, the physical version is being listed significantly cheaper than the digital version. Instead of $60, his information is that it'll be $40. So, I mean, at the very least, that's good news, but do kind of keep in mind that all of this is only a rumor until it gets officially announced, which seems to be for later this month. Okay, so let's go and get into this Kojima presentation because they teased various different projects. They have a Death Stranding animated film in development. They also have a Death Stranding live-action movie in production. And they're even working together with Niantic, out of all companies, on an augmented reality Death Stranding project. So if you like Death Stranding, I mean, there's a lot happening with that series, but the two most exciting things that they talked about was the upcoming PlayStation published game being Physint, and then the upcoming Xbox published game, OD Nuck. These are the two projects that everybody wants to know about, and they actually teased both games. Now, Physint is still in early development. It's often described as a Metal Gear Solid spiritual successor because it is based on espionage, but it is a PlayStation 6 title. So its release is still far out and there's no actual trailer to go by just yet. They, however, have revealed some of its actors and also its concept art, which you can see here. Now, one thing seems to be very clear about Physint, though, and that's that they want to break down the barrier of what a movie is and what a game is. They did show off some of its character models and just how realistic they want them to be, and I mean, Death Stranding already does a pretty good job at that, but it really seems like they want to take that to the next level. Again, though, just kind of keep in mind, this game is still years and years away from release. It is a PlayStation 6 title, so, we're going to have to be patient with this one. On the other hand, though, OD Knock being the new subtitle is much closer to its launch. So we actually got a legitimate trailer, which you can see here on screen, and the first thing that should immediately stand out is the similarities between it and the cult phenomenon PT, the Silent Hill game that never came to be. I mean, even all of these years later, PT is still praised as one of the best horror experiences of all time, and it kind of seems like he's taken all of the ideas that he had for that game and he's applied them here to OD. I mean, it's pretty clear that Physint is a Metal Gear spiritual successor. And I think we can now definitively say that OD is also a PT spiritual successor. I mean, there were already various nods to that in previous trailers, but they really took that to the next level here in this new teaser trailer. I mean, at the very beginning, it says 10 years since the horror, which, yeah, it's crazy to think, but PT launched back in 2014. So it's been more than 10 years since that PT demo first released. The central theme is also based on a puzzle set in a small-scale room, similar to the looping hallway that was in PT, and there's even that same baby crying noise that repeatedly pops up in the PT demo. Now, one thing that fans are asking, though, is whether or not this could actually represent what the graphics will eventually look like in the final product, because, I mean, it looks crazy realistic. But I'm going to go ahead and just stop everybody there and point out that PT back in 2014 also looked exceptional for the time. That also kind of focused in on the realism and just trying to make that hallway look exceptionally great. Now, that's part thanks to it being set in a small location rather than being a big open world like we see with a lot of games. And again, even if you look at the character models, we've already seen what they can do in Death Stranding. Kojima Productions excels at character models. So this very well could be very close to what we see from the final product when it eventually releases. But yeah, I think everything that we're seeing here is incredibly exciting. In fact, OD already has more than 830,000 views on YouTube, and it is still climbing. So word is already getting around that the new PT is on the way, and horror fans are incredibly excited by its familiar and also its, quite frankly, creepy footage. Now, Phil Spencer also came up on stage, and he confirmed that development is well underway and that they have one goal in mind. He said that we have one goal in mind, which is to bring Kojima-san's vision to life for all players everywhere, and we can't wait for players to experience it when it's ready. And I think that tells us two things. One is that its release isn't super far away, maybe 2026 if we're lucky, or possibly 2027, but also it does kind of sound like this will be a multi-platform project. Now, that's not necessarily set in stone, but the way he said it, this does kind of make sense given that Kojima's fan base has been raised on PlayStation consoles, including, yes, the PT demo, which was exclusive to the PlayStation 4. So given Xbox's multi-platform plans, this kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I think it looks great and definitely one of the more exciting games if you like horror experiences or if you just like Kojima games. In my case, I like both, so yeah, count me in. All right, now, one more thing before we go, but yes, Sony confirmed that they will in fact hold a State of Play this week, and it's actually set for tomorrow on September 24th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this will be a 35-plus minute long event, and they noted that they'll share new looks at anticipated third-party and indie titles, plus updates from some of our teams at PlayStation Studios, including an extended look at Saros, Housemarque's mysterious new title arriving next year. So there it is. We already have confirmation for Saros, which I think that alone makes this event worth watching. A lot of people liked Returnal, and Saros has the potential of taking that idea and making it even better because they've probably learned a lot from the first game. So I'm actually really excited to see what Saros has in store for us, but there's also rumors about a new Metroidvania God of War game and also a re-reveal for Insomniac's Wolverine. Now, here's my thing, though. While technically both of those could, yes, be here, given that they did mention that they will have some updates for some of their PlayStation studios, but I still want to caution tempered expectations. Now, the reason I say that is because typically, PlayStation State of Plays are smaller than PlayStation-branded showcases. So, from my point of view, I would go in with tempered expectations. That way, even if those games don't show up, you still won't be disappointed like we usually are. I mean, a lot of people like to come out on YouTube and they hype up these events like they're going to be absolutely amazing, and then everybody leaves disappointed. I'm not going to do that. Just caution your expectations. I mean, if it turns out to be great, I'll come on here tomorrow and I'll hype it up and give it like an A+ or whatever. But until then, I would just go in with tempered expectations and let them hopefully pleasantly surprise us. Anyways, though, that's me for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.